Stop for a moment. Stop scrolling. Stop letting distractions pull you away from this message. You are not here by accident. Every moment, every decision, every challenge in your life has led you to this exact point. Nothing in your life has been random. God has orchestrated it all to bring you to this divine revelation. From today, everything changes. The struggles, the uncertainty, the worries that have burdened you for so long are about to be replaced. God is shifting you into a new season, one of divine abundance, prosperity, and peace that never runs dry. This is not just motivation. This is a declaration of truth. You have been chosen. And because you have been chosen, your life is not meant to follow the patterns of this world. While others chase after money, titles, and approval, you are being called into something far greater. You are being called into a destiny that was written for you before you even took your first breath. If you have ever felt like you didn't fit in, like the world's way of doing things never truly resonated with you, it's because you were never meant to fit into a broken system. You were meant to stand out. You were meant to lead. You were meant to be a light in a world filled with darkness. And from this moment forward, you will never see life the same way again. Look back at your life. Every struggle, every setback, every moment you questioned your purpose. Now, understand this, none of it was wasted. God was using it all to shape you, to prepare you, to position you for something greater. Many people go through life thinking they are just another person in the crowd, believing that they are here by chance. But you, chosen one, must understand a greater truth. You were created for a reason. You were not an accident. You were not a mistake. Before the foundations of the earth were laid, God knew your name. He knew your purpose. He had a plan specifically designed for you. And that plan is unfolding right now. Tough times were not meant to break you, they were meant to prepare you. The obstacles you have faced were never meant to defeat you but to strengthen you. Every tear you cried, every moment you felt lost, every door that was shut in your face, it was all leading you to this moment. Now, it is time to walk forward with confidence. Because when God calls you, He also equips you. He does not bring you this far just to leave you. He does not plant a vision in your heart just to let it die. From this moment on, you will never live in fear again. You will never doubt your worth again. You will never question whether you are meant for something more, because you are. The world has tried to teach you that success only comes through endless hard work, through sacrifice, through compromise. Society tells you that you must struggle, that you must fight, that you must compete just to survive. But God has a different message for you. You are not meant to merely survive, you are meant to thrive. You were not placed on this earth just to chase after a paycheck, just to work yourself to exhaustion, just to seek approval from others. That is not your purpose. That is not your destiny. You were created to walk in divine abundance. You were designed for a life where you are not constantly struggling, but instead, walking in the provision and favor of the Almighty. This is where many people go wrong. They believe that their value is tied to their job, their salary, their social status. But God does not measure you by these things. Your worth is not determined by what the world says about you. It is determined by what God has spoken over you. And He has called you to something greater. If you have been feeling restless, if you have been feeling like there is more to life than what you've been experiencing, that's because there is. That stirring in your spirit, that longing for something beyond what you see, it's God calling you into His greater plan. He has not placed you on this earth to live in limitation. He has not created you to be just another person working for a paycheck. You were created to impact the world, to fulfill a mission, to leave a legacy that extends beyond yourself. But first, you must make a choice. You must decide, will you continue living by the world's standards, or will you step into the divine purpose that God has for you? The choice is yours. But let me be clear, once you open your heart to God's plan, everything will change. Opportunities will come that you never imagined. Doors will open that were once locked. Connections will be made that only God could arrange. You will begin to see life differently. You will start to move with purpose. You will walk with confidence, knowing that you are no longer just existing, you are fulfilling your divine calling. Chosen one, this is your wake-up call. The world will try to convince you to settle for less. It will try to distract you with temporary pleasures and meaningless pursuits. It will try to keep you stuck in a cycle of struggle and exhaustion. But you were made for more. You were made to break free. You were made to rise above. You were made to step into God's abundance. The time for hesitation is over. The time for doubt is over. The time for questioning whether you are enough is over. God is telling you, it is time. It is time to step fully into the purpose He has for you. It is time to stop chasing and start receiving. It is time to align yourself with the divine calling that was placed on your life before you even knew who you were. From this day forward, you are no longer living in uncertainty. You are no longer second-guessing yourself. You are no longer questioning whether you are meant for greatness. You are. And now, it's time to claim it. If this message has spoken to you, if you know that God is calling you into something greater, declare it right now. Type in the comments, I am ready to receive divine abundance. And don't keep this message to yourself. Share this video. Spread the truth so that others may also awaken to their divine calling. And if you are ready to continue on this journey of revelation, transformation, and divine prosperity, subscribe to Bible Peak. This is only the beginning. What comes next will change everything. Most people spend their lives in an endless race, chasing stability, chasing security, chasing the illusion of success. They run tirelessly, believing that if they work hard enough, if they struggle long enough, they will finally find peace. But the chosen ones are not meant to run after the things of this world. You were not created to spend your life in pursuit of temporary achievements. You were created to receive what has already been prepared for you. This world has conditioned people to believe that they must fight for everything. That they must struggle endlessly to earn a living, to earn approval, to earn significance. But what if I told you that your purpose is not something you must chase, it is something you must step into? God did not place you here to live in a cycle of exhaustion, always reaching but never arriving. He did not create you to endlessly search for something that was already written into your existence before you were born. Your value is not tied to what you do. It is not tied to your job, your salary, or your title. Your worth was established the moment God spoke your name into existence. And when you truly understand this, everything changes. The world tells you that your life's success is measured by your job, by your career path, by how well you fit into a system designed by men. It tells you that your worth is determined by your productivity, by how much money you earn, by how much status you accumulate. But God tells you something entirely different. He tells you that you are not your job. You are not defined by a paycheck. You are not limited by a career. Your identity is not found in a title, but in the divine purpose that was placed within you before you even took your first breath. This is where so many people remain trapped. They spend their lives looking for the next opportunity, the next promotion, the next step that will finally bring them happiness. But fulfillment is never found in chasing what was never meant to be chased. The truth is, you were never meant to seek purpose, you were meant to recognize it. your purpose has always been within you. It is woven into your being. It is not something you must search for, like a missing piece of a puzzle. It is something you must awaken to, and when you do, everything begins to shift. There is a difference between seeking and receiving. To seek is to operate from a place of lack. It is to believe that something is missing, that you must work tirelessly to find what has been hidden from you, but to receive is to trust. It is to understand that what is meant for you has already been prepared. It is to step into alignment with what God has already planned, rather than striving to make something happen on your own. When you are constantly seeking, you are moving in a state of fear, fear of not having enough. Fear of not being enough, fear of missing out on opportunities. But when you shift into receiving, you operate from a place of confidence, of faith, of certainty that everything you need will come to you at the right time. God is not calling you to struggle. He is calling you to trust. You do not have to force your way into your destiny. You do not have to push through doors that were never meant for you. The right doors will open effortlessly when you align yourself with God's will, when you stop striving, when you stop worrying, when you stop chasing what is not yours. You will begin to see the divine flow of provision, of opportunities, of abundance that was meant for you all along. Many people wonder, how do I know what my purpose is? They wait for a loud voice from the heavens, for an undeniable sign, for something so obvious that they cannot miss it. But God often speaks in the quiet moments, in the subtle nudges, in the things that have always been present in your life, waiting for you to finally notice them. Your purpose is not hidden. It is revealed through the things that bring you to life. What makes you feel most alive? What fills you with energy, with joy, with passion? What do you find yourself naturally drawn to, over and over again? These are not coincidences. These are the signs of your purpose. The world tells you that passions are hobbies, that they are things to be enjoyed in your spare time while you focus on what's practical. But in reality, your passions are clues to the divine assignment God has placed on your life. Think about it. Why would God give you a gift if He did not intend for you to use it? If you have a heart for helping others, that is not random. If you feel most alive when you create, that is not an accident. If you have a natural ability to teach, to lead, to inspire, these are not meaningless traits, they are tools. They are divine indicators of the work you were placed on this earth to do. Every gift you possess was given to you on purpose, for a purpose, yet, so many people dismiss their talents as insignificant. They believe that their dreams are unrealistic. They assume that what they truly desire is not what God has planned for them. But what if I told you that the very thing you've been trying to suppress is the very thing God wants to use? What if I told you that the thing you've been told to ignore, to push aside, to deem impractical, is actually the key to your divine assignment? God does not give gifts without reason. He does not place desires in your heart just to torment you. He does not give you a vision and then refuse to equip you for it. If there is something you love, something that stirs your soul, something that makes you feel fully alive, that is not just a passion. That is a call, and when you begin to embrace it, to develop it, to walk in it, the right opportunities will come. The right connections will be made. The right doors will swing open before you, because when you step into your purpose, God makes the way clear. There is nothing more exhausting than trying to force something that was never meant for you. And there is nothing more fulfilling than walking in what was designed for you. You do not have to struggle to find your path. You simply have to align yourself with what was already written for you. The moment you stop chasing what is not yours, the moment you stop trying to fit into a life that was never meant for you, everything will shift. Your purpose has always been within you. It has always been waiting for you to recognize it. Now is the time. Now is the moment to stop searching. Now is the moment to step into what God has already planned for you. The time for striving is over. The time for receiving has begun. The world has taught us that wealth comes from hard work, sacrifice, and endless struggle. That in order to be financially successful, one must compete, compromise, and constantly chase after opportunities. Society glorifies the grind, the sleepless nights, the never-ending pursuit of material success, but God's truth tells a different story. True wealth does not come from endless labor. It does not come from chasing money. It does not come from sacrificing your peace, your joy, and your soul just to achieve financial success. God's wealth is far greater than anything money can buy. The riches of this world are temporary, but the abundance of God is eternal. His prosperity is not just about finances, it is about peace, fulfillment, relationships, opportunities, and divine alignment. Money can be lost. Money can run out. It can be stolen, devalued, or become meaningless in an instant. But God's provision never runs dry. His abundance flows in ways that defy logic. When you trust in His plan, when you surrender to His purpose, everything you need will be provided at the right time. This is the difference between worldly wealth and divine abundance. Worldly wealth is limited, it relies on markets, human efforts, and external factors. Divine wealth is limitless, it flows from faith, purpose, and alignment with God's will. Worldly wealth demands constant struggle, but divine abundance is received through obedience and trust in God. The moment you stop chasing money and start chasing God's purpose for your life, everything changes. Doors open. Opportunities appear. The right people come into your life. The resources you need are provided, not because you fought for them, but because God placed them in your path. The secret to true wealth is simple. Align yourself with God's plan, and abundance will follow when you walk in divine purpose. You do not need to stress about provision. You do not need to worry about how things will come together. God is your provider. Philippians 4 verse 19 says, "And my God will supply all your needs according to His riches in glory in Christ Jesus." All your needs, not just financial, but emotional, spiritual, and relational. This is the promise of divine prosperity. You will not lack. You will not struggle in vain. You will not have to force doors open. They will open for you. But to receive this, you must first trust. If you are constantly living in fear of lack, if you are constantly doubting whether God will provide, you are blocking the flow of His abundance. Faith is the key that unlocks divine wealth. Stop worrying. Start believing. God is already at work behind the scenes. He is already aligning the right opportunities. He is already preparing the resources you will need. All you have to do is walk in faith. But how do you begin? How do you recognize God's plan for you? How do you step into this divine alignment? There are 4 key steps that will guide you into the fullness of God's purpose for your life. Most people go through life waiting for God to reveal everything to them in an instant. They expect a dramatic sign, a loud voice from heaven, or a moment of undeniable clarity. But God often speaks in the stillness. You must learn to listen, not just casual listening, but intentional listening. You must make time each day to be still, to pray, to reflect, and to ask God, "Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do?" The answers may not come immediately. They may not come in the way you expect. But they will come. God speaks through a deep feeling of peace when you are on the right path, a stirring in your spirit when you are called to something greater, the small, subtle nudges that guide you in the right direction. To hear God, you must quiet the noise of the world, turn off distractions, step away from constant busyness, create a space in your life where you can hear His voice clearly. When you listen with intention, you begin to recognize God's whispers. God does not leave His chosen ones wandering in confusion. He is always guiding, always directing, always placing signs in your path. But you must be willing to see them. God's guidance often comes in unexpected ways, a conversation with someone who says exactly what you needed to hear, an opportunity that appears at the perfect time, a situation that closes one door only to reveal a better one. If you are constantly anxious, constantly rushing, constantly doubting, you might miss the signs. Start paying attention. What keeps showing up in your life? A skill you have that others always recognize, a passion that keeps coming back to you, a desire in your heart that refuses to fade. These are not accidents. They are divine indicators of what God is calling you to do. Your gifts are not random. Your abilities, your talents, your passions, these are not just things you happen to be good at. They are the very tools God has given you to fulfill your purpose. If you have the gift of speaking, it is meant to inspire and lead. If you have the gift of creativity, it is meant to bring beauty and meaning into the world. If you have the gift of problem solving, it is meant to bring solutions where others see obstacles. But gifts must be developed. You cannot sit back and expect your purpose to manifest on its own. You must cultivate what God has placed inside you. Invest time into learning, practice, and refine your skills. Use them in ways that serve others. As you develop your gifts, you will begin to see the doors God is opening for you. This is where most people struggle. They want to know everything in advance. They want guarantees. They want to see the full picture before they take the first step. But God rarely reveals everything at once. Walking in divine purpose requires faith. You may not understand everything now. You may not see how all the pieces fit together. But God does. What seems like a delay is actually preparation. What seems like an obstacle is actually a redirection. What seems like an ending is actually a beginning. Trust Him. Take the first step. Move forward in faith, knowing that God is guiding you, providing for you, and leading you into something greater than you ever imagined. Divine wealth is already prepared for you. All you have to do is step into it. The world will try to define you. It will try to fit you into a mold, to box you in, to make you believe that you must conform in order to succeed. Society will tell you that you must live by its standards, follow its rules, pursue its version of success, and seek validation from people who do not even understand the depths of your calling. But listen carefully. You are not meant to fit in. You were created to stand out. You were not designed to blend in with the crowd. To be another person living an ordinary life dictated by earthly expectations. No, you were handcrafted by God, set apart, chosen for a higher purpose. The moment you stop trying to please the world and start focusing on God's plan, you will find true freedom. For so long, people have been conditioned to seek approval. Approval from family, from friends, from society, from social media. They measure their worth based on how accepted they are, based on whether they are following the right path in the eyes of others. But the chosen ones do not live by the world's approval. They live by God's calling. What the world values is temporary. Titles fade. Money comes and goes. Trends change. But what God places within you is eternal. You do not need to chase wealth. You do not need to prove yourself. You do not need to worry about status or validation, because God is your provider. When you surrender to God's purpose, you will no longer live in fear. You will no longer fear lack, rejection, or failure, because you will understand that you are already walking in divine provision. Do you know why so many people live in stress and anxiety? Because they are trying to force themselves into a life that was never meant for them. They struggle to fit into a career that does not align with their calling. They chase after wealth without realizing that wealth is meant to chase them. They live for the approval of others, never realizing that God's approval is the only one that matters. But when you fully accept that your identity is in Christ, everything changes. The fear disappears, the need for validation fades, the constant striving stops, because you are no longer running after things that are not meant for you. You are walking boldly in the divine destiny that God created specifically for you. The moment you embrace God's plan, you step into a flow of never-ending provision. You do not have to beg. You do not have to fight for scraps. You do not have to constantly worry about what is next. Because God has already planned your next step before you even take it. Imagine a life where opportunities come to you effortlessly. Where you do not have to force doors open, because the right doors swing open at the perfect time. This is not just a possibility, it is God's promise. You were never meant to live in lack. You were never meant to struggle in uncertainty. You were never meant to live in fear of tomorrow. When you truly align yourself with God's purpose, the resources, the connections, the wisdom, and the favor you need will appear exactly when you need them. You will experience a flow of abundance, not just financially, but in peace, opportunities, and divine connections, a life of confidence, because you will know that you are exactly where you are meant to be. A supernatural ease, because you are no longer striving to create a life outside of God's will, but instead walking in a life that has already been written for you. God does not operate in scarcity. He is the creator of all things. He is the source of unlimited resources. His abundance is beyond human comprehension, and when you trust in His provision, you will never have to live in survival mode again. Too many people treat life as if it were a competition. They rush, they push, they force things to happen, always worried that they are behind. But the truth is, you are exactly where you are meant to be. You are not late, you are not missing out, you are not falling behind. Because your life is not measured by human timelines, it is orchestrated by divine timing. Each step you take is carefully planned. Each season of waiting is intentional. Each delay is a setup for something greater. The world will tell you that success must happen fast. That if you are not where others are, you have failed. But in God's kingdom, success is not about speed, it is about alignment. If you rush ahead without God's direction, you will always feel lost. But if you walk in step with Him, you will always be in the right place at the right time. This entire message has been a reminder of who you truly are. You are not ordinary. You are not meant to struggle endlessly. You are not meant to live in fear and uncertainty. You are chosen. And because you are chosen, your life is meant to reflect God's glory, His abundance, and His divine favor. You do not need to chase wealth. God will provide. You do not need to seek approval. You are already validated by Him. You do not need to force opportunities. They will be placed before you when the time is right. The life you desire, the life you dream of, is not just a possibility, it is your inheritance as a child of God. All you have to do is step into it. From this moment forward, no more fear. No more doubt. No more striving for what is already yours. Your best days are not behind you, they are ahead of you. Your story is not ending, it is only just beginning. You are no longer living as the world tells you to live. You are stepping into a life of supernatural favor, divine provision, and unshakable purpose, and nothing will ever be the same again.